Hello, I'm NP. Before talking about this game, Bulanci, or Combat Pillows, yes, you've heard it right, Combat Pillows. So I met this game first around 2004-5 maybe. My sister was a gamer back in time too, so we had quite a lot of fun playing these hot seat multiplayer games like Worms, Wizard of War, International Karate or Spy vs Spy on Commodore 64. So we played this very old version of Bulanci in 2003, 4, 5 maybe. Basically it's a little one-screen tactical game, much like Worms. The main difference is it's not turn-based, but it runs in real time. It's focused more on action, so you can have quite fierce battles with your friends. Well, that's all about old times, so let's switch to 2023. When you are old, bitter and you have little nephews visiting you around the Christmas break. So, 2 generations away, what can you offer that's not utterly boring to them? Well, not much really. Kids these days are rather into watching people on YouTube and Twitch that are basically reaction videos of other people playing games. But ultimately they don't play games and try to make it their own experience. It's very strange to me. Anyway, so they were here and I tried to cheer them up. And I showed them a couple of games that we played back in time. Well, Worms was too difficult for them. You have to be skillful when you play Worms, so it's not an instant success. They got frustrated about it in 1 minute. Then we tried a couple of Commodore 64 games, but they just didn't seem to get the controls. Of course, they are very quick with a touch screen, but with a game controller or a joystick, not so much, somehow. Then on Steam I found Bulanci, a new version of an old multiplayer game that we had quite a lot of fun with. I installed it and it stalled my machine. There was no reason to be so, because it was a very small game. So my gaming machine that usually spits out 60-ish FPS with almost all titles, while it did only 1 or 2 FPS on the title screen before freezing in-game. So nephews became bored, I became angry. So with the same momentum I wrote a review on Steam. Well, it wasn't positive, so to say. It wasn't actually about the game, but its very poor performance on my machine. The next day, Chris Edge, my friend who helped to create a lot of videos in the channel last year, contacted me saying, "What the fuck is wrong with you, man?" I said, "What?" And he said, "Your review. It's blinded and full of rage. Wouldn't it be nicer and just more useful to send an error report to the developer? It's a small indie team, damn it, just like ours, that ended because of people who would badly need a therapist instead of customer support. Man, you're acting like people you are against." Well, it hit very hard. He was right. Well, I promised that I will not reveal his real name. That's not Chris Edge, of course, but I can tell his story in a nutshell. Around 20 years ago, he worked for a small game dev studio. 10, maybe 15 people on board. Chris worked in the management part, public relations, customer support, financial and funding matters and things like that. So their terminal game project was a little bit too bold, maybe ambitious is the better word. So they couldn't implement their plans into the released game in time. But everything was scheduled after the release. There was a patch plan. Think about a story like No Man's Sky, but with a bad ending. Frustrated gamers attacked the company. They weren't prepared for mega trolls with 150 email addresses where the same person flooded all kinds of forums with full negative shit about their product, hacking into their systems and releasing confidential data, development plans, and all sorts of very destructive things for the company. Finally it collapsed. So that's where Chris comes from. So after he's saying that, I felt very bad actually, especially when I opened Steam. By next day there was a very polite answer straight from the developer of this game, asking for a bug report. So as Chris says always, do not put a small game developer in the same room with monopolies like Activision, EA or Ubisoft, who really don't care about you, the player, they care about trends and profit. A small dev is like a family, there are real people who care. So I edited my review mentioning that the developer contacted me and it deserves a lot of respect. Also, I left my original review to show where I come from. So because I uninstalled the game around the time last December, I didn't send my bug report immediately, only when my nephews visited me again a couple of months later. But as it happened, anything was behind this stuttering already disappeared completely. So what happened was like I installed the game, started it to run absolutely fine, and we had fun playing it. So the kids completely forgot about this zombie scrolling shit for hours and started to behave like kids, discovering things and having fun. So yeah, great times. And this game was absolutely fun to play. So if you need a quick action-packed game that's absolutely compatible with a younger audience, Bulanci is a great choice. Despite it can provide some very heated action, still it's completely harmless, considering content. And also it has that sort of cartoony fun factor that Worms 2 had back in time, with all of these funny animated cutscenes. As for closing word, after this later fun session with this game, Bulanci, despite that it worked flawless, I still sent my machine specs to Sleep Team, the developer of this game, saying, okay, I was this ranting asshole from last December, I installed your game again and whatever the bug was, it's gone. This is my machine specs as I promised, but your game works absolutely fine. Sorry for being an asshole. They answered the next day, and reading their response you just realize that actually it's very nice people sitting on the other side of the line with such a positive attitude. In a few months, they added a lot of new features, a lot of small details, a lot of bug fixes, optimized a lot of things, so it's worked on and it's cared about. So I openly apologize for all this ranting. That was the dumbest thing that you can do. If it's about a small developer team, then instead of ranting and reacting out of fury, just try to help instead. Send a bug report, they will appreciate it. In retrospect, I'm really sad and disappointed about my first reaction. It was very stupid of me. So that's all about this fun little game called Bulanci, and a lesson about not to be an asshole, if possible. Instead, try to help small teams who still try to make fun games. NP out. See you somewhere in time.